Hey everyone, Shabby Gamer here, and welcome back to another episode of our WWE 2K16 Universe Mode. Now this is going to be our next episode of Thunder, of course, our first episode of Thunder since our fully loaded pay-per-view. So this is basically going to be the fallout of that, and of course building up to our next pay-per-view, which is going to be in 4 weeks' time, which is Over the Edge, which is going to be shared between Thunder and SmackDown. So what do we have planned for you this evening? We're going to start things off with a champion versus champion match, as the Thunder champion, Cactus Jack, takes on Bad News Barrett, the United States champion. Next up, we're going to have a fatal four-way match. Now, this is something that's been it's based on something that Jay suggested last week. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a fatal four-way match this week and one next week. Next week, of course, we're going to have the other half of all four of these tag teams. And the winners from both matches, should they be different tag teams, will go on to face each other to become the #1 contenders for the tag team championships here to face off against the New Day. So tonight we're going to see Enzo Amore against Scott Dawson, Jason Jordan and Mojo Rawley. And of course next week it'll be Colin Cassidy versus Dash Wilder, versus Chad Gable versus Zack Ryder. We're also going to have a tag team match as the Fighting Irish, Ken Shamrock and Fit Finlay, take on the Rhodes, which is Dusty Rhodes and Dustin Rhodes. We're going to have this match here, which again is something that Jay suggested last week. It's going to be Dolph Ziggler taking on Johnny Gargano. And the winner of this match will get a future shot at the United States Champion. We've got a rivalry match here between Eddie Guerrero and Rob Van Dam in the Battle of the Frog Splashes. Right, time to get a little bit role-play now. Now, Dean Ambrose has demanded from our general manager here, Eric Bischoff, a championship match against Cactus Jack. Bischoff was not happy about being demanded, so he has told Dean Ambrose that he can have that match if he wins a match here this evening against a mystery opponent. So, who will that be? We do not know as of yet, but I'm sure it's going to be something pretty twisted if Eric Bischoff's involved. And our final match of the evening now. Bischoff, of course, was unhappy that Sting and Taker lost at Fully Loaded in that draft match. However, he did like the idea of these two teaming together, so he's going to get them together once again to face off against the team of Scott Hall and Kevin Nash from the NWO. So that'd be a very interesting match in our main event. So what matches are we going to play and what matches are we going to skip? I think we're going to simulate this first Champions versus Champions match, which was won by Bad News Barrett, the United States Champion, and then he was viciously attacked after the match by Sheamus. Very interesting. And that was before the match began, and still Bad News Barrett went on to win the match. So that's a bit interesting. I wonder if that means that the Bad News Barrett's looking potentially to have to defend the championship against Sheamus. That is a strange one. Okay, well, Bad News Barrett picked up a champion over picked up a win, sorry, over the Thunder champion Cactus Jack. That's an amazing result for him. So is that going to mean that he should get a Thunder championship match in the future as well? We'll have to wait and see what happens on that one. We're going to watch the tag team at Fatal 4-Way. We're going to skip this match. And it was won by the Rhodes. Dustin Rhodes picking up the pinfall victory over Fit Finlay. Ooh. I think we're going to... No. We're going to watch 4 matches tonight, I think. We're going to skip Guerrero versus Rob Van Dam, which was a win for Van Dam, which gives him a hot streak. He'll be very happy with that. And then I think we're going to have to watch these last 4 matches. So we're going to watch the Fatal 4-Way match to become Tag Team #1 contender. We're going to watch Ziggler versus Gargano. We're going to watch Dean Ambrose taking on his mystery opponent. And then we will watch the main event as well, as Sting and The Undertaker take on Scott Hall and Kevin Nash. So let's get straight into our first match. And here is that first match. It is the Fatal 4-Way match to decide one of our... I don't have to explain it. I did explain it earlier, didn't I, basically? But whoever wins this match will go on with their tag team partner to face off against the winner, whoever wins next week's Fatal 4-Way. Of course, if the same team wins both matches, then they're just instant #1 contenders, I suppose. But, yeah, good looking match, this one. We have got Scott Dawson, Enzo Amore, Jason Jordan, and Mojo Rawley. Tag team division on Thunder is actually very, very good. I'm actually really happy with the tag team division here. A few of the rosters got weaker ones, such as Raw. Of course, Raw is currently addressing that with some of the other teams that they are currently bringing in. But yeah, really good tag team division here on Thunder. And I think in the next 2 weeks, we're really going to showcase that. And here we go, Chicago, Illinois. And you hear the crowd reaction for, of course, Enzo Amore. I don't know if he does his little microphone work on his own, does he? Or is that just his tag team entrance? I would imagine he does so. No. Oh, yeah, he's got mic in hand. Let's have a listen. Go on, Enzo. What you got for us?
My name is Enzo Amore, and I am a certified G and a bona fide star.
And you can't teach that. It's very quiet, isn't it?
Bada boom, realest guy in the room. How you doing?
It's very quiet compared. I don't know if that's different for you guys. Of course, I'm struggling because I've got the my TV very, very quiet, so I don't sort of contaminate the sound volume of the recorder with what's coming through the television. But for me, his voice was a lot quieter than the actual crowd noise. I'm hoping that doesn't come over the same way for you guys. I hope you heard that a bit better than me. But a chance for one of these four guys to really come through for their tag team and yeah, really prove what they can do on a singles level as well. Because that's the interesting thing. A lot of these guys are stuck in tag teams at the moment, but you think to yourself, a good win here, and you may be looking at a potential singles competitor. You never quite know. And here comes Jason Jordan, somebody who I think really has the potential to be a singles competitor. I see this guy at some point getting himself a shot at the United States champion. I'm sure of it, and I think with some of the things I've got in my mind, hopefully to come into force very, very soon, that really might help this guy out. And yeah, I'm looking forward for that. I'm not quite sure how I'm trying to tell you guys what I want to do without telling you what I'm going to do. What I've got planned is going to be very much based on what happens during the next 2 weeks. Across these two tag team matches, once we've found out the results, and then potentially once we've found out who the number one contenders are going to be, then I can start to bring into effect what I've got planned for this man right here. But like I say, I do think this guy will definitely get himself a shot at the United States Championship at some point. We'll give him the opportunities to earn it, of course, but I'm hoping so. Same with Chad Gable as well. I think potentially Chad Gable has the possibility to really be a top singles competitor as well. I think he has the comedy aspect like a lot of other wrestlers have in the past, but he also has the ability to go with it. So that's the main thing. A lot of people have the comedy aspect, but they don't quite have the ability. People like Santino were stuck where they were because they had the ability to wrestle. They had a small amount of ability, of course. They could wrestle, but they were mainly a comedy wrestler. Whereas someone like Chad Gable, he's got the comedy aspect, but he also has, of course, the really good in-ring sort of ability as well. And I think that's really going to help him out in the future. So, the third entrant into the match, Scott Dawson with a big smile on his face. You don't often see that on NXT, do you? And I like Dash and Dawson. I never did like Dash and Dawson, but I do like them. But I think after watching NXT TakeOver, what was it, Dallas? Yeah, it was TakeOver Dallas, wasn't it? I think one thing was shown from that match they had against Jordan and Gable, that I think they do need a little bit more time in developmental. They made a couple of dodgy sort of botches of that match, which shouldn't happen at the biggest stage of the year. So I think they'll spend a little bit more time down there just to iron out all those little problems. But I think they do potentially have a future in the WWE, especially if they do go to having a split brand system, which I'm hoping is going to happen at Payback in a couple of weeks' time. We know at Payback, Vince is going to make a decision about who he wants to run the shows. Will it be Shane? Will it be Steph? I'm hoping he turns around and says, you know what, we're going to have two brands, both splitting off. You're going to run one, you're going to run the other. I think that's what I'm hoping will happen. And by doing that, giving them both separate tag team divisions as well, I think would definitely be a good thing. And that would allow a lot more teams to get a bigger opportunity. And teams like Dawson and Dash, the Revival, could really profit from that. And here we go. Oh, maybe not. Now here we go. Now this is a Fatal 4-Way Falls Count Anywhere match as well, so pinfalls can happen outside the ring, and that's mainly because of the mechanic they put into Fatal 4-Ways this year. I've said it a few times now. As you can see, 2 people always go to the outside of the ring to fight and 2 people stay inside the ring to fight, which I think is a really good mechanic. I like it because it means that people are not getting on top of each other all the time and trying to grab other people and stuff like that. So it's a really good little mechanic, but I think just making it a full set anywhere match just ups the ante a little bit, because it does mean that the 2 guys outside the ring can win the match. If it was just a standard fatal 4-way, then you would know at the moment that only Enzo and Dawson could win the match because they were the only ones in the ring. But making it a full count anywhere means that if Mojo was to pin Jason Jordan right now, then Mojo could win the match for the Hype Bros. Of course, the only one of these 4 tag teams to have had an opportunity at the tag team gold already is Enzo and Cass. Enzo and Cass? No, it wasn't. It was Jason Jordan and Chad Gable of American Alpha. They had the very original championship match against the New Day on our first episode of Thunder, as Scott Dawson is just destroying Enzo Amore with a chair. And Jason Jordan and Mojo Rawley, you have to keep an eye on that, because if Enzo takes a lot of damage from this chair, this could be a very, very short match, and Dash and Dawson could be the first team through to the #1 contendership battle. Like I say, next week we are also going to have another fatal 4-way involving the other halves of all these tag teams. Should we have 2 different tag teams win these fatal 4-way matches, then those 2 teams will go off to face each other in the next week. Or if not, then we get the same team member winning both matches, and we will just have one outright #1 contender for the tag team championships from the New Day. I think the New Day are going to be a force to reckon with this year. Dawson has the chair again. Doesn't quite catch Enzo, but he does catch him now, straight across the back. Again, very, very vicious. But Enzo catches Dawson with that elbow to the back of the head and tried for a crossbody and completely missed him. Gets him the second time though. In for the pin he goes. I can't see this being enough to win the match. You see Jordan slides back into the ring. It was a 2 count though, as Mojo has Jordan up into a gutbuster. And Mojo's face is very, very red. He is incredibly hyped. There's the pin 1. Only a 1 count, and Enzo does a well good job. He does a good job of breaking that one up. I feel like whenever I record these days, I'm drinking beer. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I've only just started, so I'm not drunk as I was. That episode of Raw I wasn't drunk recording Raw the other day, but it sort of sounded the way I was. Mojo normally almost getting a win there. And of course, like I said earlier, this match was this match is based off of something that was suggested to me by Jay Freeman in the comment section below. He's been knocking around for a long time now. He's been one of my first few subscribers, I think. So he does have some really good ideas, and I thought I'd. Well, he originally said to make this a triple threat, but because of the game mechanics, I decided to add the Hype Bros in, just to make it a fatal 4-way, just for the better match quality. I think triple threat matches are a little bit dodgy on this game, so I will stick to a fatal 4-way if I can. Dawson with a pin. Enzo hasn't really noticed, but Enzo's up on the top rope now, and Jordan just kicks out in time, and I think Jordan actually got a DDT on the gut then by Enzo, and Enzo nearly picked up the 3 count over Mojo Rawley. So all of a sudden this match is looking like it could end any second. Enzo's going up top. We've seen he likes to use the big splash a few times, but Mojo's back up to his feet, and Enzo catches him with that cannonball, and big spine buster by Scott Dawson. Enzo, you need to break it up, mate. He's not even paying attention. And there we go. Scott Dawson picks up the victory. And the Revivals, Dash and Dawson, are guaranteed to be in that #1 contendership match. If Dash Wilder can win next week in the other Fatal 4-Way match, then the Revival will be the out-and-out #1 contenders. Should Zack Ryder, Chad Gable or Colin Cassidy pick up the victory, then we will have to have that buffer #1 contendership match. But a good win there. Enzo really not showing great awareness. The pin was there by Dawson on, was it Mojo Rawley? I can't remember who it was now. He was pinning him, and Enzo was up on his feet and didn't really notice it until the last second, and then it was too late to try and break it up. Spike DDT there by Mojo in the middle of the ring. And of course, remember, we do still have 3 more matches for you this evening. We're doing 4 matches in this episode. We've still got a match between Gargano and Ziggler, another one that was suggested by Jay Freeman. That one's going to be for a potential future match for the United States Championship. Although with Sheamus attacking Bad News Barrett earlier in the show after his match, I think Sheamus might be fighting himself for a US Championship match. We've also got Dean Ambrose getting that match. He knows if he wins that match, he will get a guaranteed shot against Cactus Jack for the Thunder Championship. And of course, we also have our main event as Eric Bischoff tries his crazy scheme to make himself a super tag team as Undertaker and Sting team up for the second time in the space of a week to take on NWO's Kevin Nash and Scott Hall. So, back to this one. This was a great win here for Scott Dawson. Himself and Dash Wilder backstage will be very, very happy with that. They know they're going to get an opportunity to fight it out for #1 contendership. Who will be going on to face off against the New Day? It's not going to be an easy match by any stretch of the imagination defeating the New Day. But earning their way there, I think they're going to desire it a lot more to go the whole way and to potentially win it. Let's get into our next match. And here is that next match. It's going to be Dolph Ziggler taking on Johnny Gargano for a future opportunity to face off against the United States Champion, who at the moment is Bad News Barrett, but with the Sheamus attack earlier, we don't know what's going to happen in that situation at the moment. We'll have to wait and see how it pans out over the next few weeks, leading up to our next pay-per-view, which I believe is over the... I think it is, yeah. Which is going to be in another 4 weeks' time. That's going to be shared with SmackDown this time. So SmackDown are going to have a pay-per-view next weekend, and they're going to have a pay-per-view in 2 weeks after that as well. So SmackDown's going to have to really build their next pay-per-view very, very quickly, and I'm sure they can do that. They've got enough talent to really put on an amazing show. And here we go. Dolph Ziggler, nice to see him getting a push. Very, very loud sirens going past. Nice to see him getting a push here in our universe mode, and yeah, I'm hoping that he'll get involved at some point. We've given him a couple of opportunities so far to get himself the championship at Fun Day. He's not managed to pull it off as yet, but I'm hoping that at some point he will be able to grab a hold of that chance and really take full advantage of it. And I'm hoping that's the case, because I'm a big fan of Dolph Ziggler. I don't think he's ever going to get the chance again in WWE, only because of his previous issues with concussions. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah, only because of his previous problems with concussion. If he can overcome those problems, then I think they'll definitely give him an opportunity. But I think with the amount of concussions he's had in the past, they know he's quite likely to get another one, which is the reason why I think he dropped the championship the last time. He only had the belt for a very short amount of time before he dropped it, because they just couldn't take the risk on allowing him to keep a hold of it, I don't think. And here comes Mr. Wrestling, Johnny Gargano. A man who I'm really hoping gets a better opportunity in NXT as well. I think he probably will do. I think now we've seen the likes of Apollo Crews and Baron Corbin move up, that creates more space at the top end of the NXT roster for other guys to have a go at headlining pay-per-views and to have a go at even going for the championship as well. So I'm hoping that someone like Johnny Gargano is one of the guys to get the opportunity. I don't think he will be at the moment, only because himself and Tommaso Ciampa, another guy who I would love to see pushing at NXT, both those guys are currently not signed, I don't believe, by the WWE. They're working all the tapings, but they've not been signed officially, and I think as soon as the signings officially happen, that's when they might get that chance. But the amount of work they've been doing with NXT of recent, I would imagine that next time NXT do a big sort of bulk signing, like they do every now and again, they like to have a bulk signing every now and again of some really good indie stars. I would imagine that these two guys will be two of the guys in there. There's no reason not to be. All the loud traffic going past right now, aren't we? So this would be a great match, this, because the two styles mesh quite well as well. Both guys have a great sort of technical ability, but at the same time high flying and very agile. So we're going to see a lot of moves here, a lot of high flying moves potentially as well. And let's get straight underway. Let us waste no more time. As it looks like we're going to start things off a little bit of chain wrestling. That's pretty good. Great headlock takedown there by Johnny Gargano. And a punch to the face as well of Ziggler. Ziggler catches Gargano in the front chancery now, does the arm breaker. I know that Ziggler likes to utilise a sleeper hold at some point as well. I think the sleeper hold works best against the bigger opponents because you use their body weight against them as well. But yeah, this is the sort of match that Ziggler needs. He's really struggled of recent. He's had, like I said, he's had a couple of opportunities to go on and to get a hold of a championship. He lost to Bad News Barrett on the very first episode of Thunder. And Bad News Barrett, of course, walked away with that United States Championship. He then had an opportunity in the second week of Thunder in that 6-man ladder match to get the number one contendership to face off against Cactus Jack at Fully Loaded. And again, he wasn't able to win that match either. So Ziggler's on a bit of a losing streak now. He's lost 2 matches in a row, and I'm sure he'll be hoping to cut that losing streak short right here this evening against Mr. Gargano. But Gargano is someone who's not had an opportunity as of yet on Thunder, I don't think. Has he had a match yet? He might have had a match last week, maybe, against... or did he? Let's have a look. I can have a look through my little booklet of matches. I do keep track of everything, believe it or not, just so I can stay on top of all the bogus crap that I make up every show. Oh yes, Johnny Gargano did pick up a victory last week against Jack Swagger. So he's had a bit of form, actually. He wasn't on episode number 1. No, he wasn't on episode number 1, but he did pick up a victory last week. Like I said, against Jack Swagger. That's a big win for him, actually. Swagger, somebody else that I'm not sure how I feel about Swagger. I'm not a big Swagger fan, but I think the United States Championship is somewhere where he should be looking at, and I think potentially we will give him that opportunity to feud maybe for this championship. What I'm going to try and do now is maybe look to feud people for championships rather than trying to create number one contenderships. Basically, because we're only having 3 matches per brand per pay-per-view, it sort of seems a little bit pointless for me to try and do number one contenderships, because if we do a feud, we've got 3 feud spots, we've got 3 matches for each brand at the pay-per-view. So if we do 3 feuds, those are the matches that go onto the pay-per-view. So I think that's probably the best way of doing it. So maybe the Sheamus and Bad News Barrett feud can go all the way to our next pay-per-view, and then those 2 guys can maybe collide for the United States Championship, or maybe even the winner of this match can join them in a triple threat. That's a potential as well, but I definitely think Sheamus is going to work his way into that title picture, especially after attacking Bad News Barrett earlier this evening. Ziggler brings Gargano out of the corner the hard way in that powerbomb. Now brings him back up to his feet. Great arm drag takedown by Gargano out of nowhere, catching Dolph Ziggler unaware, now sending Ziggler into the corner. Something else that Jay did suggest, of course, like I said, he did suggest this match as well. He also suggested Orton versus Ambrose for the number one contendership for the Thunder Championship, which I really like the idea of, but I do have plans for Ambrose at the moment, which obviously will take effect in our very next match, actually, which is going to be Ambrose taking on a mystery opponent for the chance to face off against Cactus Jack for the Thunder Championship. So we'll see how that pans out. Should Ambrose pick up a win there, then, like I say, he'll go on to face off against Cactus Jack. Should he not pick up the win, then of course we will have to try and decide our number one contender for the Thunder Championship next week, potentially. I'm not quite sure who that will be. Maybe Orton can have the match next week against somebody else. Maybe we'll have to have a look at the roster and see who we've got knocking around. Of course, Baron Corbin had the opportunity at Fully Loaded, so I think we might leave him to one side. Well, not leave him to one side, but we might not involve him at this point in time again. Who do we have on this roster? We've got Sheamus and Bad News Barrett are tied up. Randy Orton is going to be in the match. Ambrose is going to be tied up either way. We do have Booker T on this roster. Guys like Kevin Nash and Scott Hall could also be going singles-wise, but I think they're going to be tied up with Sting and Undertaker. We have Hulk Hogan on this roster. Maybe Hulk Hogan could be a shout. Hulk Hogan versus Randy Orton for the number one contendership. Hulk Hogan, Randy Orton, Booker T, and Dusty Rhodes. Just putting some random matches together now. Snapmare there by Ziggler. Now lock it in the reverse chin lock. Yeah, I think with all the feuds we've got going on at the moment, everyone's sort of tied up, so it looks like it could be Orton facing off against someone like a Booker T, or Orton facing off against someone like a Hulk Hogan to get the chance to face off against Cactus Jack at our next pay-per-view. Or maybe we could potentially do a multi-man match at our next pay-per-view. There's a neck breaker there by Dolph Ziggler on Johnny Gargano. Ziggler's going up high. What's he got planned here? It's not very often we see Ziggler go up to the top. Diving elbow drop. There's the pin. 1, 2. Oh, it's only a 2 count. So close to a 3 was that. It was really close. Both guys struggling to get back up to their feet, but they are there. Gargano now catches Ziggler straight up onto his shoulders, potentially looking for maybe like a razor's edge, but a neck breaker by Dolph Ziggler reverses and slides out of the move. We saw a few of them recently. No, we haven't. We saw them in the random match I recorded before this episode, didn't we? Yeah, ignore that. Then again, the random match will be uploaded today as well. That is going to be Seth Rollins versus Apollo Crews. If you haven't seen that yet, check that out. I think the link will be in the description for the playlist anyway. But that should be uploaded today. And he does get that razor's edge powerbomb this time. Very similar to his lawn dart, I suppose. It's the opposite way around, but does the trick. There's the pin by Gargano. 1, 2. And it's another big win for Gargano. And it's another high-profile loss for Dolph Ziggler. So Johnny Gargano is going to get a future opportunity at the United States Championship. When will it be? That's going to be the interesting question, because with what's happened earlier on this evening with Sheamus, it looks like Bad News Barrett and Sheamus could be going into a feud. I'm sure Gargano will be in no rush. He'll bide his time and pick the best possible moment for him to get a United States Championship match. And they see Gargano with the razor's edge powerbomb into the corner, pulling Ziggler away from the ropes. And there is the pin. So, unfortunately for Dolph Ziggler, that is now 3 losses in 3 weeks. He's going to be on a cold streak. That's going to really affect him. And that's going to make it more and more difficult for him to get back on track as well. Maybe we might need to give him a match next week where we know he's going to win. Just to try and boost him back up and get him off of this cold streak. Because we don't want a great wrestler like Dolph Ziggler being stuck on a cold streak and his stats going down week on week. So maybe a Dolph Ziggler versus Savio Vega, or Dolph Ziggler versus Fandango could be a possibility. Fandango. Yes, we also got Apollo Crews on this roster. Would Apollo Crews be an opportunity to potentially look at going for the Thunder Championship as well? Another possibility. Maybe Randy Orton versus Apollo Crews could be the match that we look at. Let me know what you want to see in the comment section below. It's going to be Randy Orton, but would it be Randy Orton versus Tony Crews? Randy Orton versus Apollo Crews? Randy Orton versus Hulk Hogan? Randy Orton versus Kevin Nash? Randy Orton versus Booker T? Versus Dusty Rhodes? There's a lot of different possibilities in there. Let me know what you'd like to see. Or maybe all of the above. Maybe you'd like to see a 6-man over-the-top rope battle royal involving 6 of the top guys from Thunder to see who can get that match against Cactus Jack again. So, yeah, let me know in the comment section below what you would like to see. Maybe do it as quickly as possible, because I might get a bit ahead of myself on these recordings over this weekend. So if you are watching this on the upload day, Thursday, or on the Friday, then definitely drop your suggestions in the comment section. And they should be well received. Anyway, let's get into our next match. There's going to be no matchup screen for this, because of course it is a mystery opponent. So it's going to be Dean Ambrose taking on a mystery opponent as selected by Eric Bischoff. Should Dean Ambrose pick up the victory, he gets a championship match against Cactus Jack. And here we go. First man to make his way to the ring, of course, is going to be Dean Ambrose. Looking absolutely pumped for this one, and as he should do, he knows he's only one match away from getting that opportunity against Cactus Jack at our next pay-per-view over the edge. However, he did get on the wrong side of Eric Bischoff earlier on. He was demanding the opportunity. He did say that he deserved the opportunity and was really demanding it. And Eric Bischoff did look very annoyed by the demands being forced on him here by Dean Ambrose. So you've got to think that Bischoff may have something up his sleeve here. Who is it going to be? Who's going to be facing off against Dean Ambrose? Building up the old tension here by cutting away to JBL. The crowds are just... It's Decay. But who is it? It's a brand new signings here for Thunder then, maybe. We've got Abyss, we've got Crazy Steve, and that in the middle is English wrestler Jimmy Havoc. So, we've got brand new signings here on Thunder. And the tide has just turned here, maybe. Which one of these three guys is it going to be that's going to be facing off against Dean Ambrose then? I wish they had more trios entrants on this game, I really do. It was either this or it was Evolution again, and everyone's getting bloody Evolution now. So yeah, great new debuts here for Thunder. Really fits the roster well as well. Sort of dark, deep sort of people. Really strange people as well. And it looks like it's going to be Abyss. It's going to be Abyss, but we've got Crazy Steve and Jimmy Havoc are still up on the apron. Is this a handicap match? I don't know. At the moment, it's Abyss just destroying Dean Ambrose, but we've still got Jimmy Havoc and Crazy Steve up on the apron. And I must say, all three of these cores are very good, aren't they? Some of these people that create these wrestlers on the community creations are incredible. There's a few that I use a lot of, like Lil Dicky and Die Hard Detroit's very, very good as well for indie cores. But some of these people are just incredible what they can do. At the moment, Abyss just dominating Ambrose, but Ambrose fights free with that reverse DDT. And I'm very excited to have these three guys on the roster now. We've got Decay, we've got, of course, Abyss in the ring, we've got Jimmy Havoc up on the apron, and we've got Crazy Steve as well. So that'll add ourselves a brand new stable here to Thunder, a brand new tag team as well, looking for those tag team championships. The tag team division here on Thunder is very hard fought as well, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And at the moment, Ambrose has turned this match around, and all of a sudden he's in control here, and I think this might be a 1-on-3, you know. The referee is not asking Havoc and Crazy Steve to get down from the apron, so this could be... Yes, Abyss comes along, and there is the tag. The referee's going to allow it, and this is a 3-on-1 handicap match. No wonder Eric Bischoff had a smile on his face earlier. He's really stacked the odds against Dean Ambrose here. Ambrose is really going to struggle to walk away with this one with a championship match against Cactus Jack. But then again, he's in control here of Crazy Steve as well. And I know that Decay get a lot of bad press over in TNA. A lot of people don't like them. I actually quite do like them. I don't know why. There's just something about them I really like. And yeah, I don't know what it is. And I think the addition of Jimmy Havoc was an absolutely inspired idea. And that idea, of course, was Jay's again. Jay suggested about, well, when we first started this universe mode about 3 or 4 weeks ago, that we brought in Decay and we used Jimmy Havoc as part of that. And I thought that was a fantastic idea. So I've had that listed down since day one to eventually bring into force, and here we are. As Jimmy Havoc sending Dean Ambrose crashing to the ground below. And I tell you what, Jimmy Havoc versus Dean Ambrose could really be an inspired feud here on Thunder as well. Really be an interesting concept. Really could go either way as well. I think both these guys at the top end of their careers, and of course both guys not adverse to using hardcore weaponry as well. Of course, they're both very talented wrestlers in their own right as well. They don't need the weapons, but having the weapons, of course, will always help. As Havoc slides back into the ring, we've already seen. No, we haven't. Again, that was the count. That was the random match I've done earlier. I'm going to stop talking about that now. I keep getting confused by that random match I recorded earlier. Ambrose slides back into the ring. How is he going to survive here in a 1-on-3 situation against the whole of Decay? There's the pin by Jimmy Havoc. 1, 2. It's only a 2 count. Dean Ambrose still in this one. Havoc taking Ambrose up onto his shoulders. And there's the Death Valley driver. That could be game, set, match right there. Havoc rolling Ambrose over, goes in for the pin. 1, 2. I know it's only a 2 count, close to being a 3. And I think Dean Ambrose can kiss his championship match goodbye at this rate. As Havoc is lining Ambrose up. He's almost got the 3 count already. And there it is, the short arm clothesline, the Rainmaker clothesline if you will. Havoc in with a pin, and surely this is going to be the 3 count. And it is. Jimmy Havoc and the Decay have a fantastic debut here. Picking up a victory over Dean Ambrose. Ambrose is not going on to get that championship match that he so desired at Over the Edge. But I'm pretty sure this is not the last we're going to see of these 4 guys in the ring. But what is Ambrose going to do? He's going to have to fight against the numbers game consistently. And I don't know if he's got it in him. I know he's got a lot of heart, but 3-on-1 with guys like Abyss, Crazy Steve and Jimmy Havoc is not a situation that any man wants to be in. We'll have to wait and see what Dean Ambrose's response is going to be. Will his response be against Decay, or will it be against Eric Bischoff maybe? Of course, this match is Eric Bischoff's doing. Dean Ambrose got underneath the skin of Bischoff, demanding an opportunity to get that championship match at Over the Edge. Bischoff put him in this match that we all thought was going to be 1-on-1 as well. Bischoff said you'll have a mystery opponent. And then all of a sudden out come all 3 members of Decay. And there we go. What a debut for these 3 guys. And I'm sure these 3 guys are really gonna be a force to be reckoned with on this roster now as well. We've got ourselves a very, very strong tag team. And also 3 very good individual wrestlers as well. Thunder may have lost Bailey at Fully Loaded only a few days ago. But with these signings, they've more than made up for it. Let's get into our main event. And here is that main event. It's going to be Sting teaming up with The Undertaker. One of Eric Bischoff's little pet projects here to create himself a super tag team. They're going to be taking on the team of Scott Hall and Kevin Nash. And here we go. This is with The Undertaker making his entrance first. Sorry if I sound a little bit out of it. I'm just noting down the new members of our Thunder roster, so I don't forget them. And there is the Dead Man. Someone who, I don't know how many more WrestleManias he's got in him. I honestly think, I really don't want to say this, but I honestly think he should be coming very, very close to the end of his career, because he doesn't want to go to a point where a lot of wrestlers go. He doesn't want to go to the point where a lot of wrestlers go, where they get to a certain age where they can no longer compete at the level they used to when they were younger. And people then remember, a lot of people, it's a natural thing. You remember someone their last appearance, not on their history half the time. So if he was to come out and have a couple of really bad matches at WrestleMania because of his age, or his fitness is not quite where it should be, or injuries, or whatever it will be, then he could end up ruining his legacy. So I think he should maybe retire at a point where he can still put on good matches. Just because, like I say, I don't want to remember The Undertaker as the man who had that really bad match at WrestleMania 33 against, I don't know, Santino or something like that. Oh, Santino's injured, but yeah, I just hope we don't get the point where we do lose how great The Undertaker is by seeing him reduced to matches that are not at the best quality. And I've seen it a few times, and I've seen it a couple of times with some of the UK shows I go to, because of course they bring across some of the American talents, some of the legends that were all great to see. I went to see Sabu a couple of years ago, and I was so excited. I was like, yeah, we're going to see Sabu. He's amazing, this, that, and the other. And I got there, and I just watched it, and I felt bad for him, because he was struggling so much in the match. He bodged quite a few moves because he just doesn't have the energy, he doesn't have the fitness, he doesn't have the strength that he used to have. And it also became quite difficult to watch. And unfortunately, that's now the way I remember Sabu. I don't remember him as the amazing guy from ECW, pulling off springboards with chairs and putting through pool tables. I just remember him as that really dodgy match I saw in Huntingdon in the UK, where he just wasn't at the level that he used to be at, and that's the worry I always have. And here comes his tag team partner for the evening. And I tell you what a tag team that these two guys could be, Sting and The Undertaker. Now this was also suggested by somebody a while ago, and I must admit I cannot remember who it was. I'm going to try and find out. Wow, our subscribers are going up quite a lot every single day, so thank you very much for all you out there that are recent subscribers, and of course thank you very much to everybody who's a subscriber. There's a lot of you that have been out there for a very, very long time, and I do really appreciate all of your support. It really does mean the world to me. I don't do this for any other reason than as a hobby and to try and keep you guys entertained. I don't make any money out of this at all. I might make maybe £2 or £3 a month, if that. So yeah, there's no money involved in it for me. Literally, all this is just me playing games that I enjoy doing. I enjoy very much setting things up like this, and yeah, it's nice to see it all run through. And of course, like I said, I play Football Manager and Fallout 4 and stuff like that on the side as well, which is why there's a lot of things going up on my channel, and I'm hoping you guys do enjoy everything I put up as well. I know there's a few things that are a little bit more random and probably not as good as what they should be, but still. View all comments, that might help. And here comes the team of Kevin. I've not actually used these two yet. Obviously released as part of the Hall of Fame pack, I think it was. Kevin Nash and Scott Hall. And I think both these guys have got the potential to dominate this roster as well, because we really could have Scott Hall as the United States champion, Kevin Nash as the champion of Thunder altogether. So really could be a fantastic sort of run here for NWO. Of course, they also have Kevin Nash, Paul White, and X-Pac in this as well. There we go. Sean Ferguson, if you are still watching. Sean Ferguson was the one who suggested that he wanted to see Undertaker and Sting team up to face off against the NWO. That was 2 weeks ago now. That seems like ages ago. That was 2 weeks ago now. And we've finally got to a point where we're going to watch it, Sean. I hope you are still watching. And I hope you are going to enjoy this. This is not going to be a one-off match. I'm going to say that right now. This is going to be, obviously, like I said, this is going to be Eric Bischoff's little pet project at the moment. And these two teams are going to be a fantastic combination of styles. We're going to see some really good matches. It's like the Undertaker's just invaded WCW here, isn't it, really? Let's make it fast still because it's a tag team match. And we're underway. Now, I'm very surprised on this game, actually, just how high the stats of Kevin Nash and Scott Hall. I think Kevin Nash is like 94, 95 on this game, which makes him one of the best on the game, potentially even better than... well, he's better than The Undertaker, better than Sting, he's better than the majority of the roster. I think there's only John Cena there's a 95 as well. I know Kevin Nash did dominate WWF early 90s wise. Of course, when he was Diesel, he had a lot of very, very good times there. And yeah, I actually... Now, this is the first time we've used the NWO on this game so far. I don't think we've seen Hogan as yet in any show, but this is the first time we've used these two guys, Nash and Hall. And I think to myself, you know what? These two guys could really dominate the Thunder scene, and I really would like to see that, especially alongside Sting as well. We've got a really retro Thunder, retro sort of WCW look going on this roster. We've got Booker T on here as well. We could have like a full Thunder sort of a main event of Sting, Booker T, Kevin Nash, Hulk Hogan. We could have a real sort of late 90s sort of Thunder match. Of course, we also have Harlem Heat on this roster we've not used at all as yet. Maybe we'll give them a match next week to see how they get on. It'd be nice to see them face off. I've not used them yet on this game either. Great arm drag over the top there by Kevin Nash, taking the Undertaker down. Take a trip in Nash. And there we go. There we see the tag into Sting. Now, like I say, this is not the first time these two guys have tagged up. They did tag up on our previous episode on Sunday, which of course was the pay-per-view Fully Loaded. They teamed up in the inter-promotional draft match, They took on the team of Mark Henry and Stardust. Mark Henry and Stardust actually picked up the victory over The Undertaker and Sting when Mark Henry attacked The Undertaker on the outside of the ring. Stardust was the legal man. Mark Henry took out The Undertaker on the outside. Undertaker was the legal man. The referee just allowed it to happen and actually counted The Undertaker out while Mark Henry was just destroying him on the outside. So that for me was a really strange way for the match to go, and evidently it seemed to work. So yeah, and from that match Nitro was able to steal a draft pick from Thunder, and they took Bayley, which was a massive pick for Nitro. They do have a weak women's division and a weak tag division. They've got a fantastic men's division there, but the women's division and tag division were really struggling, and for them to go off and get Bayley in a draft steal, who of course, if you've not seen this week's episode of Nitro, had an incredible debut on Nitro, so be sure to check that one out. They also strengthened their tag team division as well by having the... They've signed up 4 independent tag teams. We saw 2 of them this week in the shape of... I don't want to say just in case I get these wrong. It was the Young Bucks versus Kazarian and Daniels. Yes, it was. We've got another 2 tag teams debuting next week. So Nitro have really addressed the weakness in their tag team division. They've got a great steal in Bayley for their women's division. So Nitro is starting to get a lot more of a well-rounded roster, which is good for them. Undertaker comes in and breaks up the pin. Good teamwork here between Undertaker and Sting. Of course, Nash and Hall will be the more natural team. They're the guys that have been teaming together for a long time. Of course, in their old WCW days, of course, Razor Ramon, and sorry, their old WWF days, should I say, Razor Ramon and Diesel. Sidewalk slam there by Sting on Mr. Ramon, or Mr. Scott Hall, if you will. And it's amazing to think this is the first game that I can remember that Scott Hall's actually been a part of. I don't know why. We've seen Kevin Nash a few times. But yes, it's the first time we've seen Scott Hall in one of these games. I've always had to download a created Scott Hall every year, and having him on the game is great because although people can create a very good likeness of Scott Hall, he's got very unique mannerisms. So to have him on the game and have those mannerisms on the game as well, it makes it look a lot more realistic. It's a bit like the Bushwhackers, who I've still not used on this game yet, but the Bushwhackers are a team that people can create on the community creations absolutely fine. It always seems to work absolutely perfectly fine, but you can't mimic the way they walk, the way they act and stuff like that, so it's not quite the same. It's Kevin Nash now bringing Undertaker back up to his feet, and almost hints of what happened at Fully Loaded as Kevin Nash Taker out on the outside, but Taker managed to reverse, but then Nash back up with his shoulder block and just picking Taker up by his face. Great running DDT there by Undertaker on Nash. Taker slides back in the ring. And I'll tell you what, this is such an even match, it's unbelievable. I had my money at Fully Loaded on Undertaker and Sting to win. Of course, they did not win. And here I am again with my money. Well, I'm not putting my money anywhere on this match because, like I said, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash are really highly rated on this game. And it's interesting because it was a great idea by Sean Ferguson, about having this little feud go on, because we've always considered the Undertaker and Sting feud, but we've never really considered the tag team, and that's an interesting one. It could really work, and obviously being forced together by the general manager trying to create a super team is a really good way of doing it as well. I really like that idea. As Scott Hall just chokeslammed the Undertaker. Do not adjust your computers. That did just happen. And he almost picked up the free count as well. Yeah, I know Jay has suggested the last couple of years about having, when we were doing 2K15 Universe Mode, about having Sting join in with a Ministry, which we did do at one point last year. Sting joined to help the Ministry face off against the Wyatt family in a 6-man elimination chamber. So that was a really good match. But yeah, having Undertaker and Sting align here, I really like this. Kevin Nash with a big elbow off the top rope, and Taker gets taken out. Could that be all here? 1, 2, and 3. And there we go. Kevin Nash and Scott Hall pick up the victory over Eric Bischoff's pet project here in The Undertaker and Sting. So Taker and Sting have now teamed up twice, and both times they have lost the match. Great camera work there. Great position by the referee right in front of the camera. Yeah, so they've now lost both matches. They've teamed up. They lost against Mark Henry and Stardust. They've now lost against the Outsiders, Kevin Nash and Scott Hall. It makes you wonder, is there just no chemistry between these two? Is there no future of these two as a tag team? Because at the moment, it's not looking very good for them. You see, this was one of the earlier pins by Scott Hall on Sting, but Undertaker was able to come in and break that one up. It was a great tag team move, really, between Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, which finished this match off. This was the moment when Scott Hall managed to choke slam the Undertaker. That's just one of the most craziest things I think I may have seen. But of course, it was only enough for a 2 count. And here it is, the move that finished the match off. You see the backbreaker by Scott Hall, combined with the elbow drop to the chest by Kevin Nash. And like I said, Sting was just too slow in the ring, and Kevin Nash had already won the match. So a great win here for the Outsiders. We can't just think about Sting and The Undertaker not being able to gel well together. You've got to think about how good this team is together. And you know what? These two guys, I'm sure, will be forcing their way into that Tag Team Championship picture at some point. We know we're going to have another Fatal 4-Way match next week to decide the other part of our #1 contendership match for the Tag Team Championships. Yeah, and we also know now that Randy Orton is going to have to face off against somebody or multiple people to go on to face off against Cactus Jack at the next pay-per-view Over the Edge. Of course, let me know in the comment section below what you think we should do. Do you think we should have a singles match between Randy Orton and someone? Or do you think we should go all out and have a 6-man over-the-top rope battle royal, just using the likes of Hogan, maybe Ziggler, maybe Baron Corbin can have another opportunity, Jack Swagger potentially, or... There's a few people that we could use that haven't had an opportunity as yet as well. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comment section below and we'll get that done as well. So, that's the end of this episode. I hope you have enjoyed it. Of course, if you have, then it would be absolutely incredible if you hit that like button for me. It does help me out a lot. And of course, if you are new around here, be sure to subscribe because there's a lot more of this universe mode coming. We've got a next episode of SmackDown being uploaded tomorrow as well. Of course, if you are new and you've not seen any other episodes yet, then check out the description below. There is a link to all the 4 playlists in this universe mode. We've got Raw, Nitro, Thunder and SmackDown. And of course, our next pay-per-view is coming up next weekend, which is going to be our Extreme Rules pay-per-view shared between Raw and SmackDown. I've been Shabby Gamer. Thank you very much for watching. And I'll see you all tomorrow for episode number 3 of SmackDown.